Pixelgod+SQUAD is all Pixelgod+SQUAD.
I am the kind of person who never give up.
That's a big
Good morning.
coming your way.
I'm back again. It's good to see you, my friends. All right. So this article is about why aren't Americans having children? The real reason Americans aren't having kids. Our president has floated the idea of giving new moms $5,000 after giving birth in an attempt to spark a baby boom. Once again, we're in a familiar place trying to figure out how to get people to have kids again. Well, let me stop right there. I don't even need to read the whole article. The reason why a lot of people aren't having kids is because the generation that's, fertile, young, working, and able to have kids, well, they're poorer than ever. That doesn't make for a lot of extra income to raise a child. And kids these days, their attention spans are shorter, but I think they're pretty intelligent, right? Because there's more information available now than ever. So, they understand that they can't afford children, and they don't want to bring children into a bad situation, which shows maturity, which is something I can appreciate. Now we're gonna need kids to take care of my generation.
Can I have $17,000?
Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of new Americans to take care of the older, aging Americans. There are a lot of countries having the same problem, and there are two things at play. One, the population is smarter now, and everyone is working, male, female, everyone is working. We're caught up in a rat race, and you have to sacrifice something. You want to be good at your job, good at your career, well, something has to be sacrificed. And right now, that's being a parent. People just don't want to get bogged down, tied down into raising kids when they can barely feed themselves. And another factor, we're at war. It's never a good time to have a kid when you're at war, right? As if things escalate, then you just brought a newborn into a situation where there's conflict around, and that's just a bad situation for the baby, bad situation for the mommy, bad situation for the dad. Not a good situation for anyone. So I think if the wars would stop, the pay rates were raised, and we had a more affordable way of life here, I think this problem would take care of itself. However, things are what they are, and I don't see them changing anytime soon. It's the nature of the time we're living in right now. So I'm gonna go over to TikTok and see what some of these guys are saying.
People keep asking why Americans aren't having babies anymore. For the first time, our birth rate has fallen below sustainability. In order to sustain our population, our birth rate has to fall about 2.1. It is now at 1.6, which means the 1 to 2 kids is the average, which is not enough to sustain our population. But the thing is the people that are wondering why people aren't having kids anymore need to talk to people. It is honestly financially irresponsible at this point to have kids in the United States. There is nothing.
There we go.
that sets us up for success. We have no guaranteed maternity or paternity leave. So most of the time, people are starting with massive medical bills and not being able to pay those, and then going without paychecks just to take care of their baby for the maximum of 12 weeks that we are allotted in order to keep our job. 9 times out of 10, you don't get any payment for any of the time that you take off. A lot of women have to only take 4 weeks before they have to go back to work just to take care of themselves and that child that you wanted her to have. You're making people have babies and getting rid of options to not, and making it harder and harder to afford them. It costs on average over $13,000 per year for one child in daycare. Just to have a child and then take care of the first initial medical costs, that's about $20,000, most of which is out of pocket. And not on top of that, we lost a ton of medical, what do I want to say? When the ACAs were dropped, millions of people lost their health insurance, which
This is a major one.
means that there's going to be even more people who can't afford children. Do you not see this whole, literally, loop? Are making it better and easier for us to take care of the kids that we do have in order for people to want to have more kids and stop going after birth control and abortion and all these other things to make women have babies, because that's not going to work. People keep asking.
100%. I agree with this lady. She's spot on. Here's one more though.
Offer their theories in response to a guest essay. This man right here named Steven says, the hand-wringing over America's declining birth rate mistakes a public health triumph for a demographic crisis. The inverse relationship between wealth and fertility is one of the most ironclad findings in demography. As nations prosper, birth rates fall. The United States arrived late to this reality because we have long been too prudish about contraception to achieve what other wealthy nations accomplished long ago. The numbers are striking. Teenage pregnancies have dropped 85% since 1989. Among 18 to 19-year-olds, 70%. Meanwhile, pregnancies among women over 35 have risen. Women are choosing when, not whether, to have children. The Guttmacher Institute documents the mechanism. The widespread adoption of long-acting reversible contraceptives, accelerated by the Affordable Care Act. Women are now having the children they actually want. The natalists should stand down and allow the rest of us to celebrate. So Stephen is a writer. He served as the chief operating officer for Planned Parenthood Columbia Willamette from 2008 to 2012. Okay, that's the reason why he is saying this from a demographer's standpoint. Michael Smith from Georgetown, Kentucky says, looking back at the Depression in the 30s, World War in the 40s, mutually assured destruction in the 50s, and social upheaval in the 60s, I struggle to see today's uncertainty as uniquely grim. Perhaps they seem so because young people today are less tolerant of uncertainty and more apt to avoid it when possible. If that is the mindset, they are not wrong about parenthood. Life will offer them few prospects that come with less certainty. Lex from Magnolia, Delaware says, the author asserts that the biggest reason for fewer babies may be uncertainty, but why doesn't the author consider that the biggest reason may be that women simply don't want children? Women of childbearing age today.
Okay, women can not want children, but there's a reason. Right? There's a reason.
Have options that women of previous generations did not. We are not dependent upon marriage for economic security. We can have a career and choose whether we want to marry or have children. Because of the options available to me, an older millennial, I have a career, I support myself financially, and I have the choice of not having children. I made that decision years ago, not because of the climate crisis or income inequality, though these are not unimportant, but because I did not feel a need or a want to have children. There aren't any incentives that would induce me to have children either. The government could guarantee income, childcare, education, etc., and I still wouldn't have children. I have no doubts that many women my age and younger are not having children because of uncertainty. The planet is on fire. Income does not keep up with inflation, and there's a backlash against women's rights. But sometimes the cause is more straightforward than what people expect it to be, or want it to be. We have a Reverend Michael P. Orsi out of Naples, Florida, saying, Anna Louise Sussman acknowledges that traditional religion is conducive to having children and even larger families. It must also be noted
This too. Religion could be playing a big part of this.
that biblical religion encourages childbirth within marriage. This is important for the mutual support of the couple and the well-being of the nuclear family. It is also a great reminder of God's providence in taking care of the children. This hope for the future and optimism transcend fear of bringing new life into the world. An important ingredient of Catholic marriage is the promise to have children and to raise them according to the teachings of the Church, which is clearly stated in the ritual itself. With Ms. Sussman's findings, it may be time for the state to promote marriage and engage in the biblical worldview that promotes having children for the good of the state and the continuance of society. So let's just get the church more involved in government. Yes! Let's get them hunting for humanity. Let's bring it in Catholic style. This is Sue out of White Sandman, Washington, saying, my son...
Alright. She may be on to something there. Because one of the things I've noticed talking with, some of the younger guys on my team and some of the younger guys I hang out with, they don't necessarily feel the way about church as I would say my generation did. So you have to consider that also. That's another factor or wild card. But look at their example. Right? They see people who claim to be Christian or, whatever religion, and you're supposed to walk a certain way when you are in these religions, and yeah, things are not matching up, right? You talk a certain way, but your actions don't match it. And
What do you mean by that?
I think the younger generation, they're not so enthused by hypocrites. And we see a lot of people saying they're good Christians and, Christians should live this way, should live that way. And their actions don't match what's coming out of their mouth. And that, I have to blame older generations for that. Giving people a lie, being hypocritical, that doesn't help the cause, right? And once these kids see you're lying to them, you're not giving them, you're giving them BS. They're done. They're done. Just look at our current administration ran on, hey, we're gonna help the economy. We're gonna fix the economy. Everybody will be earning more. You'll be safer. No new wars. Well, as soon as this generation figured out that was a lie, they completely unplugged. The only people who are still on that bus are, I would say, the people that are in the cult and the boomers. They're still.
I love the poorly educated.
Take it to the grave, I guess. But we have to change that mentality. We have to start letting
Get some help.
actions and words match each other. And being an example for younger generations. Because they can sniff out the BS. And I think they are. So, it's going to do it for this one. Went a little bit longer than I thought. And this creator is BN Bourbon Boogie 2025. If you want to come and check out the rest of her video, because she went a little bit deeper into that, but I didn't want to make this too long. But a lot of people are worried about why we're not having kids, and yeah, there's quite a few reasons, and it's almost like everything is coming together at once to create situation that's just undesirable for anyone. Right. So, sit for this one. Are you having a baby? Do you know anybody having a baby? I don't even know anyone that's pregnant right now. To tell you the truth, which is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. So, that's it for this one. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Leave a comment. Like this video, man. Share this video. And subscribe to the channel. Yeah. And we'll check in on the next one.
And you know what time it is? Disco time.